Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gyan Krishna. I'm the National Sales Manager at Macmillan. Welcome to the final webinar in the series of webinars presented by Macmillan and Chopin Publishers. We've been on quite a journey, having started off with N4, then moving on to N5, and finally we're here with N6. The idea behind this was to support lecturers in implementing the curriculum changes. The platform we're using today is the GoToWebinar. There's a control panel on your right-hand side. Please make use of the questions section to post your questions, and the presenters will answer these at the appropriate time. Our sales team is currently visiting colleges with sample copies. I have placed the links to the ebooks in the chat box, so if you haven't received your copies as yet, please make use of this facility as you acquaint yourself with the N6 textbooks. On to our presenters for today. We have Amanda Skinner, a seasoned maths publisher, and Ivan Marbling, who has many years of lecturing maths at TVET colleges. It's over to Amanda to start today's presentation. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Gyan. I'd like to thank everyone for making the time to be part of this session and for giving us the opportunity to present to you. So in today's webinar, what we're going to be doing is I'd like to review the new curriculum outcomes for Mathematics N6 that will be implemented as of the first trimester of 2023. Then what I'm going to do is discuss the impact of these changes and how it affects the learning content and your academic year and the assessments that you'll be doing. And then I'd like to show you how TVET First can support your teaching and help your students succeed with our selection of 3 books for Mathematics N6. So we will have a look at the curriculum changes and then go through the 3 books that we have for your selection. So firstly, having a look at the new curriculum. As we know, the TVET curriculum for many subjects have been reviewed and updated by the DHET for implementation in the last 2 years. So let's have a look at what the changes are for Mathematics N6 in 2023 and how this will affect your teaching. So the general aims of the new curriculum for Mathematics N6 aims to provide learners with the skills to identify and calculate mathematical problems. And the content forms part of engineering calculation problems from industry. So you'll see that there is a focus on actually making the mathematics applicable. Then there's also looking at using the mathematics to equip students with relevant knowledge to enable them to integrate meaningfully into their trade subjects. So it's not just looking at theory, it's helping them to actually use their knowledge in their trade subjects and form the foundation for the N6 syllabus to achieve their national diploma. In terms of the specific aims of the new curriculum, the specific aims of Mathematics N6 is to continue with differential and integral calculus and serves, it also strives to assist students to obtain a trade-specific calculation knowledge, as we mentioned. And some of the other specific aims also includes the promotion of the correct mathematical terminology. It promotes and focuses on word problems and problem solving. So again, being able to prepare the students for their careers and not just know the theory. And then it looks at using technology in mathematics and applying mathematics to further technology. So the changes to the curriculum for 2023. The Maths N6 syllabus has been revised, restructured and updated, although we'll see that the content of the syllabus has not changed very much. What has happened is that the learning outcomes have been renumbered and most of them have been reworded. We'll see that the syllabus now comprises of 8 modules instead of 6, and the reason for this is that the content of the module application of the definite integral has actually been divided up into 3 separate modules. So instead of being 1, we now have module 5, which is on areas and volumes, module 6, which covers centroids and center of gravity, and module 7 covers second moment of area, moment of inertia, and center of fluid pressure. So instead of being 1 full module covering everything, it's been separated into 3 separate modules. The syllabus weightings for the topics remain the same. However, what we do see is that the combined weighting of module 5 to 7, which was the old module 5 of 40%, although that stayed the same, we've got actually a split of the percentages. So now that we've got 3 separate modules, they've split up the 40% weighting into 15% for module 5 on areas and volumes, 10% on module 6 for centroids and center of gravity, and then 15% on module 7 on that second moment of area, moment of inertia, and center of fluid pressure. So although the weightings haven't changed, they've just been split up to be more precise or more specific. Then what we do have is a new learning outcome in module 2, which is on integration techniques. And here the new learning outcome is that they have to do integration of products of sine and or cos with different coefficients. So they've just included that, and you can see there's the integral of sine AX times cos BX dx. So that's now been included in the N6 syllabus. In some sections, what we also have is more detail and further didactic guidance that the DHET has provided. So, for example, we've got partial derivative being more defined, and the syllabus including notation for partial derivatives and rules for finding partial derivatives. So, although the content pretty much stayed the same, they have provided more guidance and more specificity for us to make it clearer. The learning outcomes also now specifically state that students must calculate specific values for first and second order partial derivatives, and they must apply partial differentiation to practical real life problems. So again, just bringing it back to not just knowing the theory, but how can they apply it in real life situations and in their trades. Then there's also been now guidance provided on how to differentiate parametric equations, and the formulae for integration by completing the square are provided in the syllabus document. They have also provided now the formulae with the graphs for calculating areas, and that's quite nice because obviously it helps the students to see what to do and how to do it. And then they've provided the formulae for calculating volumes using the disk and shell methods. So I'll touch on some of these again as we go through the specific modules, but that's kind of an overview of the changes there. So some of the learning outcomes and didactic guidelines that were already provided have also been simplified or summarized. So for example, in module 2, they've actually given less information on types of equations to be integrated using integration by parts. So obviously the assumption or the understanding there is that we already know what has been covered previously, so they've just simplified it a little bit, and we use that content and continue on. The syllabus now also provides worked examples for certain sections in the syllabus document in order to help guide lecturers. So any sections where they feel it was a little bit more complicated or we just need more guidance, they've now actually provided some worked examples in the syllabus document itself. So just taking a look now at the actual modules of the new curriculum. So we have the module 1 on differentiation, that's 6%. So we can see that the weightings here have remained the same. But as we've mentioned, the module 5 has been split. So you can see there that module 5, 6, and 7, the applications of the definite integral, there they were split into the 3 separate sections. Still covering the same 40%, and the rest of the modules remain the same with their weightings. If we look at the assessment standards, there's now less focus on recall in the new assessment standards. So in the old syllabus, about 25% was apportioned to the recall and reproduction. 40% was given to understanding and application, and 35% to analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Whereas what we see here is we've got 20% only going to remember. Then we've got 20% to understanding and 20% to application. And then we've got 40% going to analyze, evaluate, and create. So there's just a slight change there on the assessment standards, but focusing more towards applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating than just purely on recall. All right, so if we take a look at the specific modules, module 1 on differentiation, our learning outcomes focused on first and second order partial derivatives, real life applications, and then first and second order derivatives of parametric equations. So here the weighting's unchanged at 6%, and the content of the modules also unchanged. What is good to note is that the partial derivatives are now defined in the syllabus document, and the syllabus now includes notation for partial derivatives and rules for finding partial derivatives. The learning outcomes specifically state that students must calculate specific values for first and second order partial derivatives, and they must apply partial differentiation to practical real life problems. So what the syllabus also does is it gives us guidance on how to differentiate parametric equations. So that's quite nice. Just providing that little extra bit of information. In module 2 on integration techniques, again, the weighting's unchanged at 18%. The content's essentially unchanged, so looking again at integration techniques, but there is that new learning outcome on the integration of products of sine and or cos with different coefficients that's been included. The formulae for integration by completing the square have been provided in the syllabus document, as we mentioned earlier. If we take a look at module 3 on partial fractions, we have a topic weighting of 12%, that's unchanged, and here the content of this module also remains unchanged. Topic or module 4, differential equations, our topic weighting stays unchanged at 12%, and our content remains unchanged as well on solving linear first order linear differential equations and solving linear second order differential equations. If we look at module 5, areas and volumes, so this is one of the ones where we had that split, we've seen that it's now split into the 3 different modules. So the module has been given that weighting of 15%. However, the content of the section is unchanged, but we have been provided with the formulae with graphs for calculating areas, and the formulae for calculating volumes using the disc and shell methods have been provided. So the textbook or the syllabus just gives us that extra bit of information there. In module 6 on centroids and center of gravity, we have the topic weighting of 10%, unchanged content, just the split into the separate module. In module 7, weighting of 15%, also unchanged content, just the split. And then the last module we look at is module 8, which is the combinations of differentiation and integration, topic weighting of 12%, and again the content of the module hasn't changed, but finding the length of an arc and finding surface area of a solid of a revolution. So just all the application questions that they're looking at to make this content more applicable to the trades that the students will be going into. If we then take a look now at the assessment that you'll be doing, so we're going to assess as follows according to the new syllabus. So we're going to assess by means of 2 formal tests and a final examination. Test 1 or assignment 1 will be based on the first 30% of the syllabus, and test 2 or assignment 2 is based on 70% of the syllabus. And students need 40% to qualify for the examination. They need a trimester mark, which is made up of 30% of test 1 and 70% of test 2. And then they do a final examination on the full syllabus, which is 3 hours, and they are required 40% to pass. You'll remember I went through those assessment standards earlier on. So there not much has changed either in terms of comparison to the previous syllabus. So just in summary or to recap, syllabus has not changed much, but we have got 8 modules instead of 6 because of that application of the definite integral being divided up into the 3 separate modules. The learning outcomes have all been renumbered and most have been reworded, changed slightly or broken down into either more or less detail. Module 2 has had a new learning outcome added. And then finally, the DHET has requested that new updated textbooks be developed and used. And because of this, we have created 3 excellent textbooks in order to support you in your teaching. So what I would like to do now is go through these 3 textbooks. I would like to present the first 2, and then once I've done that, I'll hand over to Mr. Muppeling to present the 3rd one, which is his book. So we have 3 books that are fully aligned with the new curriculum, and each of these is excellent, covers everything that you need in the syllabus, and each of them provides a different type of support. So having a look at the first one, we've got Mathematics in 6 by Mr. J.B. John, and Mr. S.A. Chittigan. This is the second edition of this popular title, and it's been fully updated and is now in full color. Each of the authors have 35 years of experience lecturing in mathematics. Both have been markers, chief markers, moderators, and examiners, and Mr. John is a past examiner for the N6 mathematics specifically. And this new edition is part of the popular mathematics N4 to N6 series by Mr. J.B. John and Mr. Chittigan. So you'll see there we've got the N4, N5, and N6 books forming the full series by both authors. So as I've said, this new edition is in full color. You might remember that green textbook above. It's now a beautiful white one, and you can see the fractals there, so a nice application of some of the maths that they do. It is a complete course between two covers, and the syllabus content is clearly presented. This is to help the students to gain a thorough understanding of the introductory, integral, and differential calculus. It's full of real-world engineering applications, and it gives students a solid grounding in how to apply the maths in an engineering context. And the methodology reflects what the authors have learned from their many years of lecturing. They've used it to uniquely design it in a way that it ensures the students can fully grasp the content. The way that they've done this is they've used a large number of worked examples with alternative solutions where applicable. They've used step-by-step strategies for problem solving. Where there are typical problem areas, they've given extra attention to those in order to make sure no student is left behind. And they've provided notes and exam tips to keep important points locked in students' memories. They've also included enrichment activities and examples to enhance learning. They've placed extra time and focus on the sections that students typically find most demanding. And for example, we look at a section of applications of integration. Here they've included hints for drawing graphs, choosing a representative strip, and they've included basic examples to help students master these techniques before they tackle more complicated examples and activities. So they really applied the learning techniques they've used in their own classrooms to make this book really well thought through. The book is so comprehensive that students can study successfully with minimal support. So if we ever had to go through another COVID session where there's long distance learning, this book really is fantastic. It's got everything they need. So just having a visual look at some of the features and benefits in this book, you can see there the full color. We've got some full color photographs. Each module starts with an overview box and a starter activity. This introduces the students to the outcomes that the module content covers. And the starter activity is designed to introduce the learner to the upcoming concepts and get them chatting about it and just discussing what's going to happen. Then we've got, or you can see we've got the clear explanations. The color graphs really come in handy, allowing the students to see the different sections. We've got step-by-step explanations to help them. And there's been used simple explanations and language, and we've got some language support as well as they go through. So any new terminology that students aren't comfortable with, we've got some language support for those sections. Then we also have some formulae boxes and information boxes. So anything extra that the students need to know or specific formulas they must remember, we've highlighted them throughout. You can see again the step-by-step strategies that are given for a lot of the sections. And we use grey information boxes to highlight the important formulae and important rules. We've got colorful diagrams that are very, very clear and a lot of the graphs. So here, these you'll find support the text. They're very clear, they're fully labeled, and having them in color just helps the students to be able to differentiate the different parts or distinguish the different parts, and it's really nice to aid their learning. We can see again here some examples of the language support, so new terminology coming in those little gray boxes, and all of that terminology goes into a glossary at the back of the book. So if students ever have a word they can't remember or they don't know what section it's from, they can go to the back and see what the word means and what section it falls under. There are also boxes that highlight important information or exam tips, and each of these is fully colored and has little tags that they can remember what section each one is from. And then there's See It Online web links that also are provided for certain sections where they can go and do some extra learning, or just some provided for extra support. They can go and watch a little video or see a little explanatory section that will help them along with their learning. The book includes comprehensive and carefully selected graded worked examples. So these are chosen to help even the weakest and the most disinterested learners to solve problems with confidence. So you'll find that they go from the easiest to the most difficult type of examples. There are alternative calculation methods that you can see there, so it supports the different teaching and learning styles. And there are enrichment type questions that are included for the stronger students that are looking for a challenge. The book also contains real-world problems and engineering-related problems that helps students to focus on the curriculum outcomes of being able to apply the theory to their trade-specific sections. And you'll see, again, you can see there all the numerous activities that we have, and all of these are modeled on exam-type questions. They have mark allocations to allow the students to practice what they are learning related to an exam-type setup. There are activities that will prepare the students with their engineering calculations, with their examinations, and for the workplace. Each module ends with a summary of key concepts, and it's followed by a summative assessment. And these are very, very useful for revision and for both test and exam preparation. Then added to that, there's also a practice exam that's followed by short answers for students to mark their own work, and a formula sheet. This is printed at the back of the book for students to have easy reference. The Mathematics N6 book is supported by a comprehensive lecturer's guide, and this lecturer's guide includes full solutions to all the activities. So whereas the student's book just includes the short solutions, the lecturer's guide includes full solutions. There is a curriculum mapping document, a lesson plan template, a suggested 10-week teaching plan. There's teaching guidelines and useful web links to help you along with your teaching. There are 2 class tests. Both of them come with a memoranda and analysis grids. And then there's a memorandum for the practice exam from the student's book. So that's just a full overview of both the curriculum changes and the first book that we have on offer. So what I'd like to do is just pause for a few minutes now and see if anybody would like to ask some questions at this point. So you're welcome to either type it in the comment section or unmute yourself and ask any questions. They can be questions about the syllabus or about the book. Either one's fine.
There's nothing at this stage, Amanda. I don't know if we want to continue, and maybe we'll do a Q&A at the end of the presentation. So lecturers can just note the questions and they can pose it at the end.
No problem, I'll continue. All right, the next book that we have on offer is Maths by Van Rensburg N6. So the author of this book is Mr. Van Rensburg. He has 35 years of lecturing experience, and his tried and trusted series has been thoroughly revised and updated. So I know many lecturers have been using his series before. It covers the latest curriculum requirements and it meets modern student and lecturer needs. His book is clear and concise, and it's been proved as an effective learning tool. What's nice with his book is it offers to-the-point explanations. It has varied activities that cover the full range of the exam requirements. And what he's provided is extension activities for each module at the end of the book, and that's provided for students that are seeking enrichment. So there are activities throughout the book, but then at the end, he specifically provided extra to make sure the students have enough. And his goal is to help students to not only memorize the content, but to actually apply their knowledge. So looking at some of the features and benefits of this book, we've got there the concise explanation. So you can see there's just the information that they need in order to understand, and then very, very basic information all the way through the book. We've got step-by-step methods as we work through, again, to the point, nothing extra, but exactly what they need to know to work through the whole syllabus. Then he's provided worked examples, and again, we've got the alternative methods. You'll see some of his methodology is quite different to some of the other lecturers' methodology, so it's quite nice having that as an extra resource. But in each part, we've got the step-by-steps with some extra notes there, but again, very concise and very to the point. He's provided activities for all the sections. And again, at the end of each section, we've got summative assessments for the full module and a summary to help the students to revise and to prepare for their tests and for their exams. Each of the activities has the mark allocations, so students are able to practice under exam type conditions. Then you'll see at the end of the book, we've got those enrichment activities that I mentioned. So for each module, there's the extra questions. There's also a practice exam at the end of the book, so students can practice for their exam. And then the short answers so that they can mark their work. Again, these are just short, they're not the fully developed answers. We then have a look at the lecturer's guide that accompanies this book. The lecturer's guide includes the complete solutions to all the activities, as well as a practice exam and class test with memos and plenty of lecturer support. There's also a photocopyable lesson plan template in order to help you save your preparation time. And it includes, as I said, the comprehensive solutions or comprehensive answers to all the activities. So again, it's a much smaller book as well, and it's just concise and to the point, still covering all the content that one needs. So that's covering the first two books. What I'd like to do now is hand over to Mr. Mappeling so that he can present his student's handbook to you.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you for availing yourself to be part of this webinar. I'm Mr. Ivan Mappeling, currently Curriculum Specialist Mathematics at East Cape Midlands College, Kagiga. I have 30 years experience in lecturing mathematics, and in fact, with my new curriculum, are involved with mathematics on a day-to-day basis. The new series of books has a unique and highly effective approach that gets students competent in mathematics calculations. I've written the N4, the N5, and obviously also the N6 mathematics students handbook, textbook, study guide, exam practice. This book gets straight to the point with a practical hands-on approach, where the Essential Handbook provides a targeted method to understanding mathematical problems. It gives step-by-step explanations and guidance in applying knowledge, and the students can gain vital insights into where they make mistakes by checking their work using the full solutions at the back of the book. The course takes 3 basic steps to solving every problem. Firstly, I analyze the question. Secondly, select the method and the tools needed to solve the question. And thirdly, I then apply the method. Now, this Mathematics N6 Students Handbooks have certain features and benefits. Each module includes what you should know boxes, which explain the mathematics in simple terms. It also has a summary of what will follow in that specific chapter, as you can see on the presentation. There's also step-by-step methods for solving each problem type, and each step is clearly explained, and even all the tools that you need, basic from prior knowledge, is also illustrated there, so that students that studies on their own, they can get up to date from the different tools they are applying in the different questions that they are attempting to do. We also have a lot of worked examples with every step explained, and there are varied activities for all question types, which is modeled on past exam type questions. Each model also includes an exam practice activity, which is a combination of past exam question papers so that students can get clearly an idea of what to expect for that specific model. Then what is unique about this book is that there are complete solutions at the back of the book so that students can check their answers and they can get an accurate picture of how they are doing. This handbook is ideal, especially for students who are studying mostly on their own and who must take responsibility for their own learning, and also students that need everything in one comprehensive hands-on guide. And there's also a formula sheet right at the back of the book. And this is basically the mathematics, maths and 6 students handbook, textbook, study guide, exam practice. So I will pause if there's any questions. You are more than welcome to ask your questions. If there's no questions, then I will hand on to Amanda to continue with the presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Mappeling. I will open the floor again. I've got one more slide, or I think 2 more slides, and then I'll open the floor again for any more questions. So what I'd like to do now is just take a quick look at who we feel each book would be best for. So if we look at Mathematics N6, which was the first one, this one we feel is great for all students enrolled for Mathematics N6. It's a great resource for students who prefer scaffolded content and varied practice to prepare for the exams. It's a wonderful resource for lecturers who teach large mixed ability classes and who want an all-inclusive resource that students can use to study at their own pace. And it's also going to be a good or a big help for distance learning students who need a comprehensive book for self-study. If we look at Maths by Van Rensburg N6, this is for students who want to consolidate the basics of maths easily and quickly. It's for stronger students looking for extension and enrichment activities, for lecturers who like to work with alternative methods to cater to different learning styles, and for lecturers who have enjoyed a previous edition of a Van Rensburg maths book and know that it works for them. Then the Student's Handbook is for students who are studying mostly on their own and need everything in one comprehensive hands-on guide. It's for students who are using another core textbook but need a more practical application and need help with their techniques. It's for students who want a significant leap in their results, whether they're wanting just to go from a fail to a pass or from a very good to an excellent. And it's for lecturers who want to help students take responsibility for their learning. And one thing I'd like to touch on here is obviously I know that having the full solutions at the back of the book is something that might make some lecturers nervous, but we'd really like to give the students the opportunity to take responsibility for their learning and to be able to do each question and be able to see exactly where they went wrong, at what point they need to work more on their technique and how to go forward. So not just to leave an example because they can't do it or a question because they can't do it, but to be actually able to apply themselves. So just in closing, we've highlighted the changes to the Mathematics N6 curriculum and presented our TVET first choice of 3 excellent textbooks to help you and your students succeed with the new curriculum in 2023 and beyond. I'd like to thank you so much for giving us the opportunity, and I'd like to open the floor for any questions.
Hi, lecturers. If you have a question, simply unmute yourself and you may go ahead and speak to Amanda and Ivan.
You are also welcome to type your question in the chat panel. I'm also going to put my email address in there if anyone thinks of any questions for later.
Still, I haven't picked up on any question yet, so I'm not sure if there's no questions to be answered at this stage, but you do have Amanda's contact details, and please feel free to contact her or contact me regarding sample copies. We'll be happy to provide these for you. So there's nothing further, Amanda. And Ivan, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for a very detailed presentation. I hope the lecturers have taken in everything that's been discussed, the changes that they need to implement from January next year, and that they've been provided with 3 excellent textbooks. And it's for them to decide which one would suit their students. So shall we just maybe give it another minute, and if there's nothing further, then we'll draw the session to a close.
Sure. Thanks, Gan.
Even if you don't have a question, if you just want to provide some feedback on today's presentation, you're welcome to do that as well. Okay, I think we've given you sufficient time. It doesn't seem like there's anything you're seeking clarity on, but you do have contact details, so please make use of that at a later point if you feel more comfortable doing that. Thank you, lecturers, for making time this afternoon to attend the webinar. I sincerely hope that you benefited. And as I mentioned earlier, we started with N4, we moved on to N5, and now we're concluding with N6. And thank you very much to our 2 presenters for doing an excellent job. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Gan.
Bye.